All right, let's jump right into this explainer with a quick test of your awareness. Because the truth is, most of us are walking around completely blind to the world, and we don't even realize it. You probably think you're pretty observant, right? But there is this hidden superpower of the brain that detectives, scientists, and true geniuses use to catch what everyone else misses. Before we unlock that power, let's see exactly where you're at right now. Okay, seriously. Think about this for a sec. If you're currently scrambling to do the math, counting the parachutes, or trying to figure out how many passengers are left on board, you totally missed the very first sentence. You are flying a plane, which means the pilot's age is simply your age. If you caught that right away, awesome. But if you didn't, no worries at all. You are definitely not alone. This is exactly what we call detail capturing, and it's something we can actively train. Which brings us to section 1, the illusion of seeing. See, there's a massive difference between just looking at things and actually observing them. It's the exact same superpower used by geniuses like Newton and Darwin. Marilyn Vos Savant, who literally has one of the highest recorded IQs in the world, put it perfectly. Wisdom comes from observation. Let's look at a real-world example of this in action. Take India's youngest IPS officer, Safin Hassan. He cleared the famously brutal UPSC exam at just 22. When people asked how he pulled that off with only 1 year of traditional desk study, he credited 4 years of deeply observing other officers. He studied past aspirants, watched their interviews, analyzed their mistakes. He didn't just bury his head in textbooks, he actively observed human behavior and patterns. Let's move on to section 2, the data filter.
Have you ever noticed that escalator handrails always move just a tiny bit faster than the stairs themselves? Or how most benches at metro stations are curved so people can't sleep on them? We see these things literally every day, but we don't observe them. And the science behind this is wild. Our brain collects an overwhelming 11 million bits of sensory data every single second. 11 million! But here's the crazy part, it only processes about 40 bits in real time. Think about that. You are truly processing just a fraction of a percent of what's happening around you. Your brain has unlimited capacity, but the bouncers at the door letting that info in are super strict.
This is what we call selective attention. Picture this. You're watching a video of people jumping rope, and your one job is to count the jumps. You count 38 jumps perfectly. Nailed it. But because your brain was so hyper-focused on that rope, you completely missed a person in a giant chicken suit walking right through the background. It's a classic psychological phenomenon. Because of our massive data limits, our mind uses a specific filtering system to decide what gets VIP access and what gets totally blocked out. And this perfectly leads into the concept of the brain attic, a term made famous by the Sherlock Holmes stories. Imagine your subconscious mind is a completely empty room. Unconsciously, you furnish this attic based on your daily life, your job, and your hobbies. If your real house is decorated entirely in blue, you'll naturally only notice blue furniture when you're out shopping. In other words, your attic dictates exactly what you are even capable of noticing out in the real world. Here's a great way to think about it. Watching the exact same apple fall from a tree, a farmer naturally observes that the fruit is ripe for harvest, right? Because his brain attic is furnished with agricultural details. But when Isaac Newton watches that exact same apple fall, his brain attic is packed with physics and math, which leads him to observe the laws of gravity. It's the exact same visual input, but a completely different observation based entirely on how their brain attics are built. All right, let's look at section 3, upgrading storage. So here's the catch. Even if you train yourself to observe way more details, it doesn't mean a thing if you can't remember them. Human short-term memory can generally only hold about 7 distinct items at any given time. If I give you a grocery list of 15 things and 15 seconds to memorize it, you're probably going to tap out around item number 6 or 7. This is why we usually fail basic memory tests, at least until we upgrade our storage system and move data directly from our limited short-term memory into our basically unlimited long-term memory. So how do we actually do that? Well, we use the memory palace technique. See, our brains are hardwired to remember physical locations and bizarre stories way better than boring lists. So, to remember those groceries, you turn the list into a completely wild, highly visual story set in a place you know well, like your kitchen. Just imagine walking in and seeing people jumping on pizzas on your dining table. Then, suddenly, it starts raining eggs in the hallway. You slip on a puddle of spilled ghee, open the fridge and find apples resting on loaves of bread. Finally, your wife walks in holding cold coffee and burgers. By turning a boring list into this weird, vivid narrative, you completely bypass those short-term limits and lock the details straight into your long-term memory.
Now for Section 4, the ultimate villain.
Okay, if we know how to upgrade our memory and filter data, what is the single biggest obstacle stopping adults from really observing the world? It's something called the thought cloud. To get this, just look at kids. Children possess what's known as pure observation. Because they don't have all that complex language and internal mental noise yet, they gather raw sensory data incredibly efficiently. They watch, they listen, and they just absorb everything without judgment. It's so efficient that their brains literally double in size in just their first year of life. But as adults, we develop this inner voice. Our internal thought cloud becomes a heavy, nonstop traffic jam of biases, worrying about the past, stressing over the future. And this internal noise literally blocks real-time sensory input. It even creates things like the McGurk effect. That's a crazy phenomenon where just seeing a person's lips move in a certain way can literally alter and override the actual audio you are hearing. If you're constantly trapped in your own thoughts, you are never truly observing.
Which brings us to Section 5, Actionable Mastery.
The really good news here is that our brain naturally prioritizes sensory observation over the thought cloud. This means if we want to stop overthinking, cure that mental fatigue, and break out of a career rut, we just need to actively force our senses back online. To do this right now, try the 5-4-3-2-1 sensory grounding technique. It anchors your mind squarely in the present and totally bypasses that thought cloud. Just take a second to look around and consciously acknowledge 5 things you can see. Then, 4 things you can physically touch, 3 distinct sounds you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. It forcefully snaps your brain out of its internal loop and right back into real-world observation.
You can also give senseful meditation a shot. Instead of just sitting in silence and fighting your thoughts, spend a couple of minutes focusing exclusively on one physical sense at a time. Do 2 minutes just on the sound of your breathing. Then 2 minutes feeling the airflow in the room. 2 minutes feeling the weight of your clothing on your skin. It's a fantastic way to rapidly rebuild that lost childhood focus and sharpen up your selective attention. And hey, if you ever find yourself really spiraling in a state of severe overthinking, just use the box breathing technique. It's super simple. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. Just doing 3 rounds of this floods your brain and body with oxygen. It forcefully yanks you out of your thought cloud and grounds you right back in present reality.
As the great philosopher J. Krishnamurti once said, observe the observer. Mastering these techniques helps you observe your own mind first. You learn to silence all that noise, consciously arrange your brain attic, and fully engage your senses. Because once you know yourself and can control your internal world, navigating and observing the outside world becomes absolutely effortless. I'm going to leave you with a final challenge to test your new skills out in the real world. Did you actually observe this explainer, or did you just watch it? For example, did you happen to notice the host's watch changing 3 times throughout, or the entire background wall being swapped out? Seriously, are you truly observing the intricate details around you right now, or is your thought cloud making you blind to the world? Start practicing today. Furnish that brain attic wisely and notice the world like never before.